Thank you, Bobby. Okay, the first item on our itinerary are the meeting minutes from our January 10th meeting. Is there a motion to approve or corrections?
So moved.
We have a motion by Shannon and a second by Harold. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries and the meeting minutes have been approved. I would like to first invite Tim Welch to discuss the funding for the emergency management planning for the solar eclipse.
Is that on? Okay. Hi, thank you for going out of order. I appreciate your time. I'm on duty for the fire department, so I've asked to go first. Thank you for that. This morning I spoke at the commissioners meeting, referenced the solar eclipse funding. You folks were so generous to offer funding for the emergency services for that weekend, and doing some conversation with legal, Joel advised me that he had found that we're not able to use that money for salary reimbursement, which kind of put us, in a bind for that. So nothing was spent yet. So I approached the county commissioners this morning, and they approved using ARP funds for that. And so I'm coming to you tonight to move forward with that again. Now I know that would be an amendment to the ARP funding, and I think Joel could speak on that a little bit more than I could about that it could be done after the vote, if you so choose. Commissioners approved the plan. Didn't have to but I think it's passed and approved which are passed. I think it's final approved documentation.
Do we need to make a motion to rescind? I'm sorry. Do we need to make a motion to rescind the previous?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
We should, for the record purposes, rescind $50,000
Okay, so the floor is open for discussion or for a motion to first rescind our previous vote to fund the $50,000 from food and beverage and to now fund from ARP.
I'll make the motion to rescind our previous action.
Since it was my bad idea, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of now funding these emergency services from ARP signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No. All those in favor of rescinding the previous motion to fund from food and beverage signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And do we have a motion to now update the ARP ordinance to include funding for emergency services for the solar eclipse?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there conversation, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, thank you. I do want to also express the appreciation I've got for the law enforcement, the EMS and fire, and everybody who's been involved. They've all come on board. So everybody's doing a great job, and the money will be used appropriately for sure. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your planning. All right. Okay, Corey, we're now ready for the EDC update.
Good afternoon, Council. Thanks for the opportunity. Hopefully you have a folder in front of you. In the left-hand pocket is our annual newsletter. As you may know, we are a public-private organization, not-for-profit, so we receive funding from county government, we receive funding from city government, we also raise private investment. And so this is primarily put together for the private investment aspect, but it gives a nice overview of the previous year and a look forward. So a lot of activity in our county, really in all corners of the county. Don't worry, I'm not going to go page by page. But I do want to point out on the back of the first page, recovery funds impact more than 200 jobs. So in partnership with the county council and the county commissioners and the county auditor's office, we were able to secure additional funding from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs and provide small business grants. So that was $240,000 worth of funding. impacting 39 local small businesses, representing 226 employees. So appreciate your support in pursuing that. The next page, the column on the left talks about all of the construction activity and the investment across the county. So it's over $175 million worth of capital investments underway or recently completed, with nearly 200 new jobs coming. So thank you for your support in that regard. The next item in your packet in the left-hand column is a new program. So a few years ago, the county celebrated its 200th anniversary. That was back in 2022. The volunteer-led committee helping celebrate the county's birthday wanted to leave the county with a legacy and a gift for the future, primarily centered around education. The committee was primarily represented by what I like to call Frost and Barrett. So that's Scott Frost and Carrie Barrett, and many other volunteers that put that together, raised some funding. Initially, they were going to focus on 529 college savings plans for a variety of reasons that did not work out. So a few of us have sat around the table a few times and come up with the Henry County Education Fund, a legacy project of Henry County, Indiana's bicentennial celebration and its scholarships for post-secondary education. We have a goal of offering 2 to 4 scholarships in the current calendar year of 2024, and then a stretch goal by 2032, which happens to be the county's 210th birthday, to offer over 100 last dollar scholarships. What do I mean by last dollar? So the difference between the cost of the certificate and gift aid, whether that gift aid is received through by applying to a FAFSA, or maybe it's an employer scholarship. So it's the difference between those two amounts. FAFSA can include student loans, or in some cases parent loans. We're not counting that in this equation. People are free to take those loans on their own, but the last dollar scholarship is between gift aid, whether that be from FAFSA or whether that be from an employer contribution. Who can apply for these? Any Henry County High School senior with a minimum 2.0 GPA, any resident of Henry County with a high school degree or equivalent, or any person, adult, employed in Henry County with a high school degree or equivalent. You can see on page 2 the certificates. It's certificates offered through Ivy Tech with a preference for here in Newcastle, but that is not a requirement. At the bottom of that list of certificate examples, there's a statement that says, looking for a different program, contact us. We'll see if we can get it approved. What is a certificate? It is industry focused and designed for workforce preparation. It is earned in as little as 6 months. It's the fastest path to getting into the workforce. However, I think this is the most important point. The coursework also applies towards associate degrees and transfer options if that person wants to carry on. This is modeled after the Kalamazoo Promise in Kalamazoo, Michigan, or more closely, the Shelby County Advantage in Shelby County, Indiana. Shelby County has a program where all high school seniors in that county are invited to apply to Shelby County Advantage to see if they qualify for a last dollar scholarship for an associate's degree at Ivy Tech. We couldn't find enough money to do the associate's degree yet. We're going to start small and grow this and grow the impact. How's it being funded? Well, initially it's being funded from the proceeds from the bicentennial celebration that is being invested at the Community Foundation and into an endowment. This is very similar to the Choose Henry Flex Fund at the Community Foundation. That is the most flexible source of grant making that the Community Foundation has. This too, over time, will grow to become a very flexible source of funding for last dollar scholarships, and hopefully we can grow it to where it too can have enough resources to offer last dollar scholarships for an associate's degrees, but we're starting as certificates. The money's invested, there's a certain amount of time before that endowment generates interest. Because on an endowment, you're only spending the interest. You're not spending the gift principal. So the Henry County Redevelopment Commission has an opportunity to participate in workforce development activities. They have approved $10,000 a year for 24, 25, and 26 to make up that gap. And so we can start funding those scholarships immediately. Of course, when people look to donate to the Community Foundation, once this is established, we hope it receives other philanthropic donations and it grows. If a business wants to participate with us, we're open to that. We hope, in addition to the tuition contribution, there might be a contribution to endowment to continue to grow this for future generations. So wanted to give you that update. It's marked draft because we're still working out some final details, but I can't give enough credit to the individuals that planned the bicentennial with impacting future generations here in our county. Turning to the right-hand side of your packet, I too want to talk about the eclipse. There are 2 guides, printed guides in the packet. These are also available for download at hoopsinhenry.com/eclipse. There is a guide for businesses and destinations. There's also a guide for resident and visitor preparations. Why is this such a big deal? Well, the next opportunity for a total eclipse is in 375 years. That's why it's a big deal. And people will travel. The last total solar eclipse was in 2017. It crossed the country in a less densely populated area. So the impact here in the upcoming eclipse could be substantial. How many people are going to come to town? I have no idea. Look at Airbnb. I don't think there's much available. And I know several families that have family members from out of state that aren't in the path of totality. They're coming for a visit. So it's an opportunity for a family reunion as well. But our role from a tourism standpoint is to really promote the events that are going on in the county and also just to get people to think about preparation. Traffic congestion is likely going to happen, and also view it safely, and that is with glasses and not the glasses that I have on my head. They won't do any good. I'm told that eye injury in 2017 was very, very prevalent, but it doesn't always show up immediately. It can happen a few days later in terms of the burning of the eyes. And so I'm tired of talking about the eclipse. I'm sure you're tired of listening, but there are some people in this community that have no idea that there's going to be a traffic jam on the afternoon of April 8th. And so we're just doing the best we can to have people be prepared, be informed, and also have fun. I mean, have fun responsibly. From a tourism perspective, we've got the website. You'll see a couple billboards up in the county. We're going to have some radio spots. Really, the idea is to get a small fraction of those people that are coming to visit. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll come back in the future in a non-eclipse event. Thank you to all the emergency services, the health department for planning. And you have one more meeting, right, in theory, before the eclipse. So I get to talk to you about it one more time. Thank you for the opportunity. Do you have any questions?
I do. Well, more so a comment. Going back to the education fund, I think this is excellent, and I'm really glad to see that it's offered to adults as well. I love to see that investment in the community. As for the eclipse, I read an article recently that was talking about the impact of the 2017 eclipse. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be absolute bedlam, and I'm really proud of our first responders and our local partners for trying to get ahead of that as much as possible and take advantage of the opportunity. But it's going to be crazy. Like it's going to be crazy. Restaurants are going to run out of food. Gas stations run out of gas. It could be pretty chaotic if we're not planning ahead. So.
Any other questions or comments for Corey? I'm just sitting here thinking, are there going to be protective glasses still on Amazon if I go order them now?
I would order them soon.
I'll put that on
Do
my
you need to
to-do.
say Hoops in Henry on the side of them?
We are getting a few. If you find yourself unable to secure glasses, give me a call. Ours haven't come in yet, though.
I've got some stockpiled, Corey.
All right.
Okay, I have 2 sources now for my 6
There you
sets of
go.
eyeballs at home, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, and Shannon, I'm going to turn over the salary ordinance discussion to you.
Okay, we've got 3 items. The first item is the Assistant Highway Superintendent. This position was changed quite a bit due to the semi-retirement of Joe Copeland. We had, of course, a interlocal agreement for Joe to be the highway superintendent and engineer and share with Randolph County. Braden is now our highway superintendent. That left his assistant highway superintendent with a different job description vacant. So the job description was updated. It was sent to Wagner Irwin Shealy. You guys have copies of that in front of you. You can see Addie's memo about that. It did come in as a SO exempt position with a range of 56,560 to 69,128. Had meeting with Braden and discussed what it would take to fill that position, dollars and cents wise. And I would like to move that we set an active salary with a salary ordinance of $60,000 for filling the assistant superintendent's position. And I would welcome Braden to add anything to that I might missed.
Are there any questions for Shannon? You made a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion by Shannon and a second by Betsy. Other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next position is the CASA director. Honorable Judge Witham brought that to us at our work session meeting. That position had not been reviewed for quite some time. Since now and then, that job description was reviewed by Wagner Irwin Shealy and returned to us with a classification of Pat 2. And we have a salary established for all Pat 2s in the county. That salary is $46,379. And I would welcome Judge Witham to add any additional if he would like to. If not, I'll make the motion to approve that salary.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Shannon, second by Kyle. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, the last item is the election supervisor, and let me first preface this with, this is not a new position. It's a retitling and reclassification of an existing position that a while back was made a chief deputy. the position was made exempt, and as you guys recall, we were always paying overtime, or we were paying overtime to exempt personnel. All other not all, I shouldn't say all, Wagner and Shealy let us know that many of the other counties use an election supervisor to run the election. Primarily every 4 years when there's a presidential election, the amount of overtime is awful. And since we last year stopped paying overtime to exempt personnel, we found that it would be better to have Wagner and Shealy take a look at this and make sure it made sense. They came back with a recommendation to change the chief deputy's title to election supervisor, and it came in with a classification of Pat 1. We do not have an established salary for Pat 1 because we don't have any other Pat 1s in the county, but the recommendation for Wagner Irwin Shealy was also to keep the existing salary in place that the chief deputy would make. It still falls in the Pat 1 range. It's a little higher than the low that we would have normally done with a Pat 1, but in the interest of not reducing anyone's wages, I would say that I move we leave that salary for election supervisor at $43,511, and that position will be non-exempt and allowed to earn overtime moving forward. There is zero budget impact to what we're talking about. The dollars are there. They were budgeted in overtime. Simply a title change and change from exempt to non-exempt and leave the salary the same.
Was that a motion?
It was.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Shannon, second by Kyle. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Shannon. So the next item on our itinerary is ordinance 2024-002, which is an ordinance establishing procedures for expenditures of revenues generated by local income tax. So there has become a need for, within the auditor's department, and the council has requested that all lit tax bills be paid by the auditor. So she has more oversight, and the council has more oversight into making sure that those lit funds are being used correctly. And so this ordinance specifically states that bills should be sent to the auditor, and the auditor will review and pay them. Okay. Okay, I don't have it in front of me, so that's as good as I can do unless someone has it in front of them. So is there any discussion amongst the council?
Yeah, I would add that especially public safety lit has previously been being processed by the sheriff's department, and we have multiple departments that budget to and spend dollars out of the public safety lit. Commissioners, EMS sometimes, 911 I think does some out of there. So bringing them all together in the auditor's office makes a lot of sense to have them be able to process things and maintain the budget. So I would move to approve that ordinance.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. A motion by Shannon and second by Mike. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. So just to clarify the new procedure for department heads, if you have bills that should be paid for by lit funds, we ask that you submit them to the auditor's department, and the auditor's department will handle the payment and review of those bills. Yeah. The safety, right. PSAP is a little different because there's only one department that uses those funds. It is. That is a good clarification. Do you need to specify? Yeah. I think so. Shannon, do you agree?
I agree. Yeah, we didn't
Thank you,
consider
Bobby. Yeah, so specifically, it's the safety lit and the jail lit, and not the PSAP because only one department uses that lit. So, thank you. Okay, the next item on our itinerary is the sheriff's 2024 contract, and I don't have the salary. Do you have the salary ordinance in front of you? Okay. So we have a new salary ordinance. As background, the sheriff's salary is tied to the prosecutor's salary, which is updated in July. So the previous July, we did not get the sheriff's salary updated, but we want to move forward and make sure that from now on, every July, the sheriff's salary is updated with the prosecutor's salary. And I don't think we have the commissioners, do we have a new contract yet, Joel, for the sheriff? They approved the contract. And what was the language in the contract they approved? Did it say that it should be automatically updated with the prosecutors, or does it have a dollar figure? Okay. Okay. Okay, very good. So, and we'll approve that as well tonight, Joel? We can. It's not in our itinerary. Do you think we should go ahead and approve it tonight?
Yeah, we've got copies of what was approved here in the language, and we have a salary ordinance prepared by the Sheriff's Department. The state law basically states that we'll pay 70% of the dollar amount published by the state for the prosecutor's wages. The prosecutor's wages are given to us. It was given to us last May. That number is $178,168. 70% of that is $124,717. And I had a discussion with Joel ahead of this meeting to understand the effective date. And basically the way the law is written, the contract that our sheriff had with the county prior to January 1 of this year remained in force until that contract expired. So as of January 1, the new contract is in place and should be paid that $124,717. So my motion is to approve this salary ordinance of $124,717 effective January 1, 2024. And if you guys would care to note that in the documents given to you, it says a mid-year wage increase will come when the new dollar amount for the prosecutor is published, and we need to be prepared to do that when the time comes. Sheriff, you'll need to bring us a new ordinance when when those dollars are published. So, but that's my motion.
So can you clarify the amount of back pay that should be included? Do you have that? Okay, sorry.
Can you do it, Stephanie? That's a lot of math in my head.
That is a lot of math.
I don't know how many pay periods we've been through.
I'm sorry, Shannon.
That's
Put you
okay.
on the spot. So in July, the sheriff will bring us a new salary ordinance with the correct dollar amount. And will the salary, your motion says that the salary shall then be changed with the new salary ordinance when it's received one time a
The
year.
contract that the commissioners approved says that it will, and he'll just need to bring that
And
ordinance.
he'll just bring it to us. So then we'll be updating that wage in July and budgeting for that new amount during budget session. Okay. So, okay, thank you. So that will correct the back pay issue in Shannon's motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Do we have to have the specific amount, or can we just say? Okay.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff, does that sound, do you have questions? Sure. Let me, 1 second. You can go ahead and come up now because the other one was just a scheduling thing. For each of us individually, I presume.
Check for overpayment for our QCC medical. We changed companies, medical supplier at the jail, so that's $20,000 and some change there. So I wanted to start off by giving, I'm sorry? Okay. Is green on? Okay, the only other item I had was and I think you all have it, you may have it in front of you, is the commissary use of equipment fund letter that is signed each year. It has to do with us being able to use commissary for costs related to law enforcement detention. It's the same letter that has been in effect for, I guess, years. There's no wording change to that, so just requesting that to be approved. And that is all. I guess one question, and I'm not going to argue about it, but is the back page is going to January of this year for my salary?
From January 1st.
Joel, can you address that? You and I had that discussion ahead.
To my knowledge, I believe it used to get back paid to mid-year, but I'm not going to fuss over that. I'll just leave that as a statement. So, okay. Do you guys have any questions for me? No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I don't have that, and I didn't have the. No.
Copy here. I'm sorry. I thought we got it. But it would need to approve all
Yeah, I can read it if we can. Understood. This is sent on February 5th from the sheriff. Dear Henry County Council members, the current equipment fund or commissary is used by the sheriff to pay for items that are not in the general fund budget. Some of these items include legal fees, timekeeping, office supplies, medical and insurance costs related to law enforcement and detention, or any other allowable expenditure related to the sheriff's office. The purpose of this letter is to approve those expenses to be paid from the equipment fund. Thank you for your consideration and continued cooperation, Sheriff Sproles. So, is there a motion to accept this letter and approve the expenses to be paid from the equipment fund for the items that were listed?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
So I had a motion from Shannon and a second. I'm going to give it to Kyle. Oh, okay, I'm going to give it to Mike. Sorry. Is there a discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. I wanted to mention that there is a DLZ update at the next commissioner's work session on February 28th at 3 p.m. For any of the council that can make it to receive that update. It's my understanding that there have been significant changes in that.
So at the request of the commissioners at one of the work sessions, because we have the ARP money, we asked them to add some alternative items for this building, the Masonic building, and the Justice Center. So we have received those additionals, and those will be presented to us. We'll go ahead and schedule that as a joint council commissioner work session. But yeah, there's, I don't know, probably 24 maybe items that they've added as optional. So that's what they're coming to present on that one.
Thank you. Are there any other items from the council?
I'd like to ask, did the county ever come up with a new insurance company?
So Josh was at our meeting today. I won't go into a whole lot of details because honestly I would mess them up. Bottom line is he received some more information today. He is still working through different quotes and talking to different people. We will have coverage by March the 1st. That's about it. We will have coverage. Yes.
Thank you, Bobby. Are there any other items from the council? Okay. And we'll open it up now to those in attendance. Is there anyone here that wanted to address the council? Okay, take a motion to adjourn.